guys, it's Kim again, and this is the 5th battle report. It's gonna be a bit different. My friend Javier came over the weekend, and we played 2 games. I only recorded one of them, but the challenge was to do 450 points of like a goofy list. When I mean goofy, it's pretty much the Watcher in the Water comprises half my army, and he just wanted to see if he could tackle that at 450 points. The game was really fun. It felt more like a joke of a game. When you watch the battle report, you'll see why. I did feel bad at some points, but at the same time, I hate Isengard, so who cares? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So for today's battle report, we're going to be playing on a Rohan table. It only made sense because he was playing Isengard. And I think today's mission, I believe, re-rolled to the death, which is pretty straightforward. The points or victory conditions are killing or wounding the leader, having a banner or killing the enemy banner, and then breaking and shattering your opponent. So it's pretty straightforward. So here's my goofy thematic army. The idea was having the Watcher in the Water, so I took no named characters and just generic goblins. So my leader had to be my regular goblin with a shield. He led 11 goblins with what you see and a marauder. The second warband was the bow captain, leading 11 goblins and a marauder. And of course, the last model was the Watcher in the Water, exactly 450 points. So Javier had Gorewolf leading 4 Huskarls and 7 Dunlanding warriors with shields. His second warband was led by Thryden on horse with 2 mountain cavalry, 3 Huskarls, Crebain, 9 Dunlanding warriors, and 1 with banner. So you guys can see, here is how Javier deployed all of his Dunlanding warriors, just in a pretty much straight line. And here is my force, pretty much mirroring Javier's. And before priority was rolled, I declared the Watcher was coming in, and I managed to roll the 3+, and I deployed him right behind my goblin line. So I got turn 1 priority, and this is where I decided to play kind of fun slash like an asshole kind of. Rather than moving my army to Javier, I just decided to move my shield goblins and my leader to kind of form a wall and just get my my might in a good position. And then my plan was pretty straightforward. I was gonna sit back and shoot with 2 marauders, 4 goblin bows, and my bow captain with my Watcher in the back. Basically, I formed a castle with goblins. Turn 1 for Javier was pretty straightforward. Side note, it was pretty funny. I think he started to call him March, and we both kind of realized no one he had actually could march. So he had to just simply walk up the board as fast as possible. It was a big oversight, but he managed. And pretty much at this point, Javier knew my tactic and was prepared for the incoming bow fire. So he split his force up a bit with the fast-moving cavalry going on the flanks to avoid the bow fire as much as possible. And he placed Thryden with as many in the ways as possible because he did not want to get dismounted. I think he also hit his banner dude, can't recall too much. And the Crebain flew behind a building as well. Turn 2, Javier got priority and continued to move his army up the board. As you guys can see, his Crebain and one of his cavalry moved towards the house on my right flank, hiding from my bow fire, and his second one went around the left side, also staying out of bow fire range. So he continued to hide Thryden and his banner with now 3 in the ways each, trying to protect them at all costs from any bow fire. At this point, I thought the game was going to be a quick one, since my turn 1 bowfire did absolutely nothing, and I could see a literal wall of angry Vikings charging towards my little goblins. I didn't move them in a good position. At this point in the game, I'm just trying to see what's going to happen. My turn 2, I decided to commit 100% into the castle and backed up all of my shield goblins to start forming a massive wall, ensuring no model except maybe the Crebain and a single Cav model can come around and touch my Watcher in the water. The whole plan literally was banking on the Watcher to shoot and pick dudes from the combat line and kill them in the back while my goblins held the wall. So this was the best decision I could do, because Javier's army did outnumber mine, so I couldn't afford to lose a single goblin during these early turns. Turn 3, Javier got priority again and moved up his whole army, everyone moving their maximum distance as he wanted to close the gap. He kept back the Crebain and cavalry since he didn't want to charge just yet. He did forget to move Thryden this turn as he was focused moving his whole army, though it wasn't as bad as he still had 3 in the ways in case of any bowfire. Same goes for his banner. He kept them in the back just in case. My turn 3 was pretty simple too. I started moving some goblins to make my wall and castle a bit more secure. Overall, I thought my positioning was pretty good, so I didn't feel the need to move too many of the models, as I liked the position they were in. Basically, I was just waiting for Javier to get into my 6-inch threat range of the Watcher's shooting attack. Turn 4, priority went to Javier again, and I should have mentioned my goblins did kill a Huskarl from shooting last turn, which was shocking because I rolled, I think, 3 6s in a row to get to hit, in the way, and then to wound. So back to Javier's movement. As you can see, his line continues moving forward. They are 6 inches, or was it 5.5 inches away from my goblins. Javier knew at this point he was in range of my Watcher's shooting attack, but he couldn't do anything else. He had to accept the risk. His plan, I could tell, was to charge through the goblin wall, hopefully breaking through enough to allow his characters to reach the Watcher, because they could easily kill it with strike and defense. Pretty much it was my only killing power in my army, and Javier knew that. Everything else from the 26 some goblins and 2 marauders, he could easily deal with it, so he was really focused on the Watcher this whole game. I forgot to record my turn 4, but it was pretty straightforward. Some goblins moved around, 1 more marauder charged 2 Dunlanding warriors, and onto the shooting phase, we killed 1 more Huskarl with the bowfire. My Watcher got 2 Dunlanding warriors from his tentacle shots, and straight into the combat, the Watcher easily won, killing both Dunlanding warriors, and my Marauder up top lost his combat. We both rolled the 6, same fight value, went to him, but thankfully he failed to wound any of the goblins and the Marauder, or the warg itself. Turn 5, Javier got priority once again, and I decided to call a heroic move with my leader, the Goblin Captain with shield, and Javier countered with Gorewolf. And we rolled off and he won. So Javier started moving his warriors, pretty much tagging as many goblins as he can. Gorewolf just charged a goblin right in front of him. He manages to tag my Warg Marauder, passing his courage test, even with the -1 from the Watcher's Harbinger of Evil. And as you can see on screen, every single goblin on the front is being tagged by all the Dunlanding warriors. One note, Javier is intentionally keeping his banner 6 inches away from my Watcher, as he does not want the Watcher to roll high, get his 4 to 6 tentacle shots, pick him off, and killing him. Because for this mission, having a banner over your opponent and having it alive at the end of the game nets you 2 whole victory points. So he played very cautiously with his Dunlanding warrior with the banner. So after his heroic move, everything gets tagged and done. I should mention one of the warriors did touch my goblin captain, therefore canceling my heroic move. After the move, it's back to his regular movement. He gets Thriden and 2 Dunlanding warriors onto a single Moria goblin. When I saw that, I was expecting him to call heroic combat to get a better position on him, or even charge another combat. And he got his far left cavalry model to charge my weak side, as you can see near the porta party house near the Watcher. And on the other side, he also charges, trying to, I believe, break through these, I guess, one-off goblins I had roaming around. And his Crebain moved closer behind my goblin wall. So onto my turn 5 movement, I grab my Marauder near the bottom and I tag his charging cavalry to cancel the knockdown bonus, and I start moving all my goblins to start getting small traps. As you can see, my shield captain or my leader is in a good trap now, and I'm trying to maintain the goblin wall so none of his dudes can fit through and tag my Watcher. And I managed to move my bow captain out of harm's way in case Gorewolf or someone wants to call a heroic combat. And I thankfully managed to position some goblins in a way that if Thriden were to call a heroic combat, he wouldn't be able to join the combat where my Warg Marauder near the top right of the screen was. That was my biggest concern, and it did pay off. As you'll see in the combat phase, Javier decides to call no heroics, as he doesn't want to waste the might, and there's no good position to move his characters once he calls the heroic. On to the turn 5 combat. I should mention, during the shooting phase, my Watcher only rolled a 1 for his tentacle shots, which I did not expect. So I just decided to grab the cavalry who charged my left flank. I wanted to reduce the amount of goblins I would lose on that flank, so I thought it was the best decision. And onto the combat. As we go down the line, you guys can see Thriden and his 2 Dunlanding warriors easily kill the single goblin they were in combat with. The 2 combats near that small like potty house building, both my goblins lost and both did die. So as you guys can see now, my Watcher is exposed to essentially the bulk of his army with Gorewolf, Thriden, a lot of Dunlanding warriors, and a few Huskarls. And then towards the bottom half, we managed to win 2 combats, kill 2 Dunlanding warriors. My Marauder up top manages to win his combat as well. And when we look down, which I didn't record, the cavalry, Javier's cavalry won and didn't do any wounds to the 2 goblins or the Marauder. And I think the Crebain won against his combat as well, but couldn't land a wound on the Moria goblin. And of course, the Watcher easily wins his combat and kills the lone cavalry model he was engaged with. So the combat was looking pretty decent. I was just concerned now that my Watcher was exposed to both his characters, which I didn't want. So this would lead me to next turn priority is very important. If I don't get it, I have to call a move. At turn 6, Javier wins priority once again, forcing me to call a heroic move with my bow captain. And surprisingly, Javier doesn't contest it. This allows me to start rebuilding my Moria wall, trying to keep my Watcher safe and away from his 2 characters. And thankfully, we do have enough goblins to still block off Javier's advance from reaching my Watcher. The game plan at this point is relying on the Watcher to start shooting and picking off his warriors so I can break his army before I do. I'm trying my best to intentionally ignore his 2 characters. As I mentioned, Thriden plus Gorewolf could easily kill the Watcher with striking, his scream once per game, and the might. So I have to play very carefully with all the bodies I have available right now. Onto Javier's turn 6 movement. He engages as much as he can with his remaining warriors. Thryden continues moving into my goblin wall, desperately trying to break through. I'm not sure why he didn't walk around. Maybe he had a different plan. And Javier does move his banner closer, hiding behind the building. But the funny thing was, he did not realize that that small building does in fact have a small opening, a window, which I could see through with my watcher. So if I wanted to, I could shoot the banner with my watcher's tentacle shots. I only told him that after he finished moving. Onto turn 6 shooting, I roll a 2 for my watcher, so I get 2 shots this turn. And I decide in my best interest not to shoot the banner. Why I didn't do this, I was banking on having other turns to do so. I was more focused at this point of the game of whittling down the number of warriors and Huskarls Javier had to force him to break. So I did target one warrior, dragging him into combat, and I shot the Huskarl on my left flank, and I managed to actually kill him from the shooting attack. So things are looking, they're getting better at this point in the game. Turn 6 combat, as you can see, the Crebain managed to kill both of the archers, leaving the Wild Warg. Thankfully, I passed my courage test, and by the way, this Crebain was the scariest model in the game. He barely is taking any damage, he's winning every fight he's in. It made no sense. And then onto my Watcher combat, we barely killed a single Dunlanding warrior. I rolled a single 6 out of 6 dice. I rolled the rest like 1s, 2s, and 3s. Very shocking. My bow captain wins the fight, but unfortunately doesn't kill anything. As we go on the line, my other goblin captain loses his fight actually, but doesn't get wounded at all, thankfully, because he is my leader, do not forget that. Now my charging marauder up top wins the fight, and I easily kill the Huskarl. And onto the left side, not too much happens. Pretty much no one died, as you guys can see. Javier won 2 fights, I won 1 fight, but no one could wound anyone. Kind of a damn shame. We are both expecting to break through, so it was like a pillow fight in that corner. And onto Thryden's fight, he easily wins the combat and he kills a single goblin. I'm not sure why Javier did not call a heroic combat during this combat phase. He could have gotten a better position, but I'm not sure why. So turn 7, Javier once again wins priority. So I have to call a heroic move. I believe I used my last point of might off my shield captain, but Javier rolls it and gets the priority. So he just continues to charge into my goblin wall, trying to tag as many goblins as possible. Gorewolf, in fact, finally charges into my bow captain, since he spent the last 2 turns, I believe, not doing anything. And on the left side, he re-engages with all my my goblins. And it's at this point in the game where I'm slightly worried because I'm assuming my bow captain will die to Gorewolf after a combat and he'll tag my watcher in the water. So my turn 7 movement is very straightforward. I only have, I think, 5 or 6 models to move. On the left side, I decide to trap a model, hoping to kill finally one of his warriors. Then on the right side, I send 2 goblins to trap his charging cavalry to be equal fight due to the Moria army bonus. Turn 7 shooting, my watcher rolls a 4 for his shots, so I was pretty excited. I managed to, for my first shot, I pull a Dunlanding warrior into combat. The second shot kills the far left Huskarl, and the last 2 shots unfortunately miss. I tried pulling the third Huskarl you can see in the middle. Turn 7 combat begins, and we start with the Watcher. Thank goodness he easily kills a Dunlanding warrior. Then on to Gorewolf's combat. He manages to win, which I wasn't shocked by. But when it came to wounding, Javier rolled 3 2s in a row. It was a big shame, and we were both in disbelief. My boat captain got off scotch-free. For me, it was amazing. For Javier, I did feel bad. And actually, that's the name of the game for this whole turn. Javier won many combats this turn. He just rolled continuous 6s to win. But when it came to wounding, he was only rolling 2s. So I guess it was averaging out. I think this turn there were some dice rolls where I just didn't roll because he rolled first getting the 6 and he outfought me, so there's no point of me even attempting to roll. But fortunately, after the Gorewolf fight, on the left side we do kill a Dunlanding warrior, and we find out now Javier is 1 model away from breaking while I'm still a few models away. So it's looking pretty good. And I didn't record it, I think you can see it after it, but that charging cavalry, who we trapped, we won the fight and we killed them because we doubled up. So now Javier is officially broken at the end of this turn. And pretty much, as you guys can watch, we lose a goblin or 2. He lost maybe a few more models. So at this point in the game, I feel pretty good with my position. And Javier, I think, is on now. He's against the wall. He has to find a way to break my army or how to deal with the Watcher, because it's been too many turns where his characters haven't been engaging my Watcher. My Watcher this whole game has been pretty much killing half his army, as you guys can see with his random tentacle shots and the combats. Turn 8, Javier wins priority once again and has to take his courage test for Thryden. And amazingly, he fails. This forces Javier to burn a point of might and will for him to stay on the table. So I was very pleased with that. Gorewolf easily passes his courage test, no problem there. And pretty much this turn, Javier just charges everything. Thryden charges the Warg Marauder. Gorewolf goes, I believe, back into the bow captain, and the rest of his warriors just continue to tag the remaining goblins on the table. He's trying to break me too, since at this moment, Javier is winning the game due to the banner points he has right now. So my goal is to either kill that banner or kill Gorewolf. Javier is just trying to break me and potentially kill my leader as well. So this could be anyone's game right now. Turn 8 shooting, I roll a 5 for the Watcher's shooting, which is amazing. I managed to kill another Huskarl, and I pull another Dunlanding warrior into combat. I believe 2 more of the shots miss, and the 5th shot does hit another warrior and kill him. So me and Javier were talking. Officially at this point, we do believe the Watcher has easily killed half his army, which is the goal for this whole game. That was my whole plan. Like, he is the heart and soul of this small 450 point army. And as you guys can see so far from the whole game, the Watcher is amazing at killing battle line and being an actual nuisance, because no matter what, if you're within 6 inches of him, you're not hiding, and if he wants to get you, as long as he rolls to hit you with a tentacle, you're gonna die. Turn 8 combat, Gorewolf gets his free heroic defense because he's fighting a character, and Thryden decides to not call any combat, saving his last point of might. We'll go down to the Crebain fight. Once again wins, surprisingly, and manages to kill the Wild Warg. Once again, this Crebain is truly a beast. He has won literally every fight he's been in this whole game and has killed a model in every fight he's been in. So to those who say Crebain suck, they don't. Back to Thryden's fight, he easily wins the combat against my Warg Marauder and kills every single goblin except the Wild Warg. Which, amazingly, I once again passed my courage test. Onto my bow captain fight. He wins the fight, which was incredible, but did no wounds to Gorewolf. Then we go to the Watcher, who easily kills both the Huskarl and the warrior he was in combat with. Javier is not shattered yet, but I am very close to being broken as well. And once again, I hope you guys are enjoying these battle reports. Definitely more to come. I apologize, this one took a bit longer to upload. Just with school and everything, it's a bit harder to get everything prepared. But yeah, please leave any comments and critiques. I'm always looking to improve the quality of these battle reports. And if you want to see if you have lists in mind, please send them to me, and I'll definitely run them for these battle reports so you guys can see how they function on the table. Turn 9, Javier once again wins priority, and he passes his courage test for Thryden and Gorewolf. Javier is officially one model away from shattering, and this is the turn Javier decides to charge my leader, the Goblin Captain with Shield, with Thryden, while Gorewolf charges the Bow Captain once again. And he just continues to tag every model with the rest of his warriors. Onto my movement, I decide to trap Gorewolf with a Shield Goblin and a Spear Goblin, and the rest of my goblins just move to help or assist anyone else. And onto shooting, this was brutal. I rolled the 6 for my shots, and Javier is like, oh shit. 2 shots went into the Huskarl, but I didn't hit, and I decided for the 4 remaining shots to target Thryden with all of them. The first shot hits him, and I decide to target the horse, and I kill the horse, dismounting him. And the last 3 shots, I target him again, and I manage to get a wound off of him, and forcing Javier to use his fate. Turn 9 combat. Gorewolf calls a combat with his last point of might, while Thryden calls a strike. And I should mention, Javier did use Thryden's Scream, because he really needed it. He wanted to kill the Watcher this turn. So using Gorewolf's combat, he easily kills the Spear and Shield Goblin, passes his courage, and charges the Watcher. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, the Watcher may die this turn. With the +1 to wound bonus, and Gorewolf and Thryden charging in, I'm gonna die. As the combats continue, I manage to lose enough goblins where I am broken now. And as we head to the very important combat of the Watcher, I lose a fight as expected, but surprisingly, with the +1 to wound and Thryden having Mighty Blow, he deals a single wound off of Gorewolf, and Thryden whiffed completely. And the last turn of the game, Javier wins priority one more time. But unfortunately, Gorewolf does fail his courage and flees the battlefield. So this is officially the last turn, as Javier is now shattered. And pretty much, I'm not going to go into too much detail, it's clean up. My Watcher manages to shoot and kill Javier's banner, because he walked into the 6 inches. My whole army is wrapping around, and that's pretty much it. I'll just go straight to the important combat. The Watcher did fight his leader again, because I'm trying to maximize the victory points, but I lose a fight. Javier does a wound, which is 2, so my Watcher is reduced from 5 to 3 wounds left, and that's the end of the game. I believe the score was a 5-2, a win for Moria. Okay, Javier, this is the post-game interview. So let's go over how'd you feel in the early game, mid game, and late game, first of all?
Early game is fine. I knew you were gonna just camp the Watcher behind your lines in the beginning, so that was fine. Okay. Middle and late game is just dealing with him more than anything else. Okay. Yeah, like as long as he's alive and yanking guys out of fights, it's
rough.
It's rough.
Okay, and so let's say, looking at your list composition, going into it, what was the initial plan then? Did you expect the Watcher to camp, and then just like watching the whole game play out, did you continue the plan you had in the beginning, or did you like change it as the game went on?
My plan initially was, I knew I was gonna have to come fight you, especially once you just dropped the Watcher down behind me and knew you were never coming. My plan was to try and kill enough goblins that I could start fighting the Watcher effectively, and it just didn't end up. Like, it just didn't pan out. Like, I didn't get through them fast enough, more or less.
So, like, okay, I'm not sure if you recall what term, but like, at what point did you think you were in kind of a serious bad spot, and you had to start pushing more aggressively? Because during the battle report, you did call 2 heroic moves And I think you called it combat, or you're thinking about it, trying to break through the line. So like, at what point did you feel that?
When I started getting close to being broken, and you were still down at like 4 or 6 dead models.
Okay, and so Javier, what is your MVP model of the game?
This Cobain, weirdly enough, it soloed a Marauder, so...
Yeah, so note, guys, if you're watching, the Cobain, when we mean the Marauder, he didn't just kill like the last wound, he killed the shield, both bows, and then the wolf. He killed the whole model by himself.
He won 3 combats against the Marauder by himself. He's only fight 2.
Okay, so Javier, to my, I guess, during the game, what was the MVP of my list?
The Watcher. He carried the whole match on his back, basically. He killed more than half of what died, I think, was him alone.
How many bodies do you think? Oh, for the Huskarls, I think the Watcher killed how many just by himself?
The Huskarl killed all but 3 of them, because I think 1 survived the game and 2 got bowed down early.
Okay.
So he killed... I brought 8, so he killed 5 of them.
Okay, well, Javier, I'm glad you enjoyed the game. Next time, guys, we'll be playing, I think, a 600-point game against Dunlandings. Till then, enjoy. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the battle report. It was an awesome game. I learned a lot from it too. Again, let me know how you guys like the format. I think we're going to try for one game like a banter bat rep, so you could hear the opponents talking too. I am getting feedback. I know some of you guys like the commentary. Some would like to see the dice rolls. I will work on that. Again, just one single phone, so it's kind of hard to be playing the game and then trying to focus on the camera too. But stick around, guys. Definitely more tactic videos to come, and definitely more battle reports.